Alright everyone, so today's video is maybe the video that everyone's been waiting for, or maybe not. So today is the 2-year anniversary of Emma Frost. Well, actually it's been more than 2 years. I was a bit late on this, but anyways, I'm doing the video now. It has passed 2 years of Emma Frost being a character out in Marvel Strike Force. I said I was going to do a bit of a Rager video, and I'm going to do it. And this is a glasses off video, which means that shit's going to get real. And so as a result of that, I'm going to put a disclaimer that I'm probably going to get angry in this video. I want to talk about farmability more broadly again. I want to talk about a lot of the characters that have been left behind, that are still left behind. And I want to give a little bit of a historical overview as to where and how we got here. And some of the more important blog posts over the last year and a half, I think, that may have suggested that, things would have changed, but it hasn't. So, if you're ready to go, of course you know what to do. Let's boil this down. And before we get to the spreadsheets where I contain all of my most important information, I want to bring you back to October the 2nd, 2020. This is Anti-Venom, one of Anti-Venom's blog posts. I think it was his blog post. And that was quite some time ago. I wouldn't say it's quite sorry, my leg's itchy. It wasn't quite 2 years ago, but, it's not far off. That's 2 more months, and it would have been 2 years. And so down here in the blog post, I had to look for this, by the way. It was here. So Milestone Orb update. This is the start. In preparation for the arrival of his new symbiote members, Symbiote Spider-Man will be swinging to a new home in the Milestone Orb, where he'll be replacing Captain Marvel. By the way, the first starting people who were in these orbs were like Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel and Agent Coulson, I believe. So now Captain Marvel had been shuffled out, and Symbiote Spider-Man is now taking the place at the higher drop rate, and Coulson was at the lower drop rate. And as you guys know, the Coulson was shuffled out for Emma Frost, and that was last year. So Captain Marvel gets moved to Hero 6-9, which I believe now is Magic, if I'm not mistaken. And so this is the first part, right? Okay. And then moving on to the second blog post. What's in store? This is April 16th. There's a couple of reasons why I want to bring this date up, is the Arena Store update. So this is the exact date where they changed a lot of the things in the Arena Store, making some characters 975, and then making some characters 350. Now, this hasn't changed since this happened last April. So a lot of the characters have been shuffled down to 500 arena credits, but none of the existing 500 credits have ever been knocked down to 375. We'll talk about that in my spreadsheet, because I do have an arena chart where I've actually tracked all of the dates for all of this. And that's just, this was the date where they changed a lot of it. Originally, it was actually 1250, and then with a lot of flack, they changed the 1250 to 975, and I believe that they started this off with Red Guardian, and they eventually changed this at some point. I don't remember what date this was, but they changed it from 1250 to 975 because a lot of people were seriously unhappy. And so now we're going to jump ahead to July 16th. This was the classic Cap skin. And this is where we had, I believe it was down, character availability updates. This part of it. Oh, the recurring milestone updates? It was in here. Milestone 2 Orb. Yeah, right. So they went from the Milestone Orb 1 to Milestone Orb 2, which then included Emma Frost and Symbiote Spider-Man at the lower rate. Okay. And then Agent Coulson would be kicked out, and Emma Frost would be the featured character with the higher drop rate. And since then, they have never really done... Actually, you know what? Was it in here? I was looking for the seasonal... Ah, sorry, yeah, we bypassed this one. Yeah, right here. Final character added to the milestone. This is back in the October Anti-Venom blog post. We'll be releasing seasonal milestone orbs in the future. You may have heard people talk about this, and it never fucking happened. Now, of course, they're free to, renege on what they said, because they do that quite frequently. And as we know, blogs, at least not here, was it subject to change, but we know now that blogs are typically subject to change, so we could say that it was back then as well. So this is where they mentioned about seasonal milestone orbs in the future. This apparently got forgotten, because then maybe they were aiming towards milestone orb 2, but this was from October 2020 to July 2021, so a lot of seasons had passed before they even got there, right? Okay, so nothing's changed since then. We're actually over a full year on from this blog post when they brought in the Milestone Orb 2. And they've done nothing. They've changed nothing in there. No new characters as far as I'm aware were added to it. I don't think... actually, maybe that's not true. Because I think there's Bishop in there. So I think at some point that maybe... No, 21. No, Bishop was around, actually. So I don't think they've changed anything, including the contents of Milestone Orb 2. When this came out in July. I don't think they've fucking done anything. So that's where we have to bring ourselves back to the actual spreadsheets that I have. Tab over here, I have this available. And we need to talk about Emma Frost. We're going to start off by talking about Emma Frost. And I don't think people care that much because she's been in the Milestone Orbs for so long that you've just naturally accumulated character shards for her. And that's not really the main point. The point is that she's been stuck in this orb regardless for like fucking a long time. Right? And they've not done anything with this orb for a fucking long time that they really need to. Symbiote Spider-Man doesn't even need to be in that fucking orb anymore, and that pisses me off. So, if we don't consider the Milestone Orb as farmable, let's say, because, I mean, a lot of people might because of how many of these you get over the course of a month, you know, then she's been 734 days since she's been out. You know, over 2 years. and that's really the state of things right there. And Symbiote Spider-Man is a whole nother ballgame. Fuck, I don't even remember when he came out. Do I have the date? February 9th, 2020 was the pre-release offer for Symbiote Spider-Man. He is farmable on a node, but he's also in the Milestone Orb. Why? There's absolutely no reason for this, and he's an obsolete character by today's standards anyways. So that doesn't matter. Now, I want to kind of move on. I know this was meant to be an Emma Frost video, but it's largely a farmability and, you know, other issues sorts of videos here. So we scroll down, and my next big issue is Kestrel. So, as we know, Kestrel has been out for more than a year. Actually, we may be coming up on a year and a half soon. And she's been in the Premium Orb since July the 19th, 2021, which actually isn't far off from this blog date. Where is that one? This one here? Is that it? No, that's not it. Anyway, oh, this one here. July 16th was that blog. And July 19th. So just date, maybe it was in that blog actually. So Premium Orb exclusive, July 19th, 2021 for Kestrel. How many days? 464 days it has been since Kestrel has been released. Now, tell me, you know, especially people who were not around for Kestrel's campaign event. You know, if there's anyone on here watching this, tell me how many shards of Kestrel did you have. You know, I doubt that you even have a... Maybe you have a 5-star. Maybe you got some stellar luck out of your premium orbs or your mega orbs. But being a premium orb exclusive character, I can tell you the amount of shards that I've gotten for Deathpool out of the orbs is very limited, even though she came after. I still haven't 7-starred my Kestrel, and I was around for the campaign event where I got a 5-star out of that event. I think I probably spent money on Kestrel because she was so good back then. But I still don't have her at 7-star. Okay? And it didn't take very long for her to enter the premium orb. 81 days from the release of her event to the premium orbs, which was a really quick turnaround, all things considered. But there hasn't been any meaningful change since Anti-Venom was kicked out of the premium orb for Deathpool, which we'll talk about later. So 464 days, this is fucked up. You know, really, like, Kestrel needs to be kicked out and more things need to happen. I honestly, I know where we're headed with this because we're going to get there on what characters we think are going to replace them, but they still haven't done it yet, and that's why I want to raise attention to this. Okay. Deathpool. So that's the next one on the list. So she was released on August 17th, 2021, and then she was put into the Premium Orb exclusive on December the 1st, 2021. Now, it's in the farmable chart for me, but it's not farmable. I think that Scopely considers this to be farmable, but I'm not 100% sure on this. Maybe someone else can tell me in the comments below, any history aficionados. But Deathpool is, again, how long has it been? 354 days. 20th of August, sorry, that was a free-to-play. 17th of August was their pre-release, which means that we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Deathpool. So congratulations, Emma Frost and Deathpool. You know, you're almost there. Deathpool is almost on her 1-year fucking anniversary, and she's nowhere to be seen. But her partners in crime, not Shang-Chi, but Cloak and Dagger are elsewhere, right? You know, you can obtain them. But there's almost no point in having these characters on new accounts if you can't get Deathpool, because I'm not really going to use these characters standalone if I can't have the full 3, you know? you know, for a Mystic raid team or whatever, there's no point if you don't have fucking Deathpool. So they have all these characters that they're just hiding behind things. Another Premium Org exclusive where both Kestrel and Deathpool need to be kicked out at the fucking same time. Kestrel should have been kicked out a long time ago, and it just makes sense. Now, I have some additional notes here that she was in the Strike Pass in February 2022 of this year. So there were additional shards for her there. But, you know, by and large, she should be fucking out of that orb. Okay? Moving on. Now we know where this is headed. The Eternals. Okay? Released on November 3rd, 2021, and 14th for Icarus 2021. How many days is they're not farmable? They're nowhere. Right? Like, they were on that blog post that you guys remember from May, where they talked about character availability, and we're almost there. Like, now that we've seen Ghost Spider, the only ones that are left really are, I guess, Spider-Punk coming out of the Arena Orb. I don't know when that's going to happen. And the Eternals. And we're pretty much through that 3 month ago blog post, but we're not quite there. In the coming weeks and months is what they said, remember? So, Cersei and Icarus. Cersei has been 276 days. Icarus has been 265 days. 9 months is 270 days, because 10 months is 300 days. So it's been over 9 months for Cersei and almost 9 months for Icarus since they've been out. What the fuck? But we know that, you know, they probably make them a lot of money, because the Eternals, unfortunately, are some of the characters that you need the most. They are the characters that a lot of content in this game is built around, where it's required to use them. Cosmic Mystic, you know, the Scourge events. It's incredibly, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's very, very difficult if you don't have these sets of characters. So what the fuck are they doing out there that they haven't been put anywhere? My guess is, just gonna call it right here, they're probably gonna go into the Premium Orb exclusives, and finally, at some date, Kestrel and Deathpool are going to get kicked out. That's just my thoughts, because they're both equally so viable and necessary that I think they both have the same amount of kind of level of rareness. It's possible, because Cersei was a campaign event character, that they could put her in, I almost want to say the War Store, but Scarlet Spider was already put in there, so I don't think that's the case. And I don't think that they'd be generous enough to put Cersei into the Blitz store or the Raid store. I just don't personally see that. That would be one of the, I wouldn't say the Raid store is the most friendly, but Blitz store, that would be the most friendliest thing I've ever seen since Shang-Chi, but I just do not see that happening. But who knows, right? Anything is possible. Needless to say, these two fuckers need to, like, be somewhere fast, because it's just, there's so much content in this game that is built around them, and new players and mid-game players can't get shards or higher star levels on these characters. Doom Raid Mystic, Scourges, Dark Dimension, what have you. You know, there's so much content that is largely revolved around them, because if you don't have them, your team sucks. And that's pretty much it. And there's still, I would say, to some degree, largely arena meta for those who don't have or are not a big enough account to have full Darkholds, things like that, right? So the Eternals are still very valuable, not only to the players, but also to Scopely, because they probably still make them a lot of money. But they just really need to let this go after a certain amount of time. Frankly, just unacceptable. Now, Scarlet Spider finally found a home here after 217 days. Ghost Spider has now found a home after 234 days. I will cut some slack on Ghost Spider, because she was in the raid season milestone, and that was okay. There was a lot of shards there. There's like 42 shards every 2 weeks, which is pretty good, in my opinion. But, you know, we're getting up there on some of these other characters that, you know, even T'Challa, who I wasn't say particularly meta, took him 6 months. And so now we're getting on. Echo is 6 months now. Kate Bishop is almost 6 months. Dr. Voodoo is almost 6 months as well. And Morbius is 5 months. Right? So this is kind of where we're at now. And how long is that going to be before any of these characters hit the market anywhere? You know, 6 months is really unacceptable. 9 months, super unacceptable, which is where the Eternals are at. So they need to get their ass in gear fucking quick. And so I want to bring you back to the farmability chart, which I often reference, because I'm sure you guys have seen this by now. And we're essentially 12 to 13 characters in the hole still. And what that means is that, you know, if they made 3 characters farmable for the month of August, which they may well do, because we're already on Scarlet Spider and Ghost Spider for August, so that's 2, actually, already. But they would need, like, a consistent amount of 3 to, I would say 4, because we're getting anywhere from 3 to 4 characters released per month, and so having 3 characters farmable a month just breaks even. And we're already in the fucking hole with this many characters as it is. So that doesn't dig us out. So if they want to dig us out, they need to have what I call Costco farming. It needs to be like fucking 9 characters. What I thought was going to be the Cosmic Crucible store when they were talking about store updates for this last patch. But that never happened. And I don't know what thumbs are up their asses over there at Scopely and their Boundless and their development studio that thinks that this is acceptable. Because the player base is really, really frustrated with this. I'm not the only one that's frustrated with farmability. It's something that gets asked about me quite a lot, you know, about whether or not I think that things are going to change. Things are going to get better. We constantly get like some you know, communication here and there that looks like that things might get better, but things often don't. You know, when we were thinking about the Red Star store updates that might have happened via the communication from Archangel, which, you know, flopped, and it was just like fucking people added into the Red Star store without any meaningful change, and it's just I don't understand what's going on. And to round things off, you know, I I've almost never brought this up, but this arena store chart that I have. So I track the dates of characters when they go into the orbs, when they go 975 credits, 500 credits, and none of them have ever dropped to 350. We have all of these characters, M'Baku, who could definitely be used to be at 350 because of Wakandans and Chaos Theory. That would be great for newer players. Any of these other characters who are really inconsequential, Heimdall, really, I don't know, Crystal, most of these characters are shit anyways, but they've never dropped any of them in the year, in whatever, 16 months, from 500 down to 375. And so that's really unfortunate. There are characters that are currently at 375 or 350 or whatever it is. You know, Deathpool and Scarlet Witch, actually. These are the two biggest ones that are 350 who are somewhat usable because Deathpool is required for Payday and Scarlet Witch for the Darkhold team. So that's okay there. But otherwise, what the fuck are they doing? They need to get their thumbs out of their asses and actually start making meaningful change in this game. And that's what's frustrating me for the longest time, is farmability. Farmability is my #1 fucking issue. Characters should not go more than 4 or 5 months without a plan about where they're going. So basically, anything from Morbius and behind right now, like up this way, should be available, or there should be plans as to what they're going to do with them. So Morbius, Dr. Voodoo, Kate Bishop, Echo, the Eternals, Kestrel, Deathpool, whoever else I missed, right? You know, and then we're getting on closer to the 5 months with Darkhold soon. Darkhold is going to be coming up on 5 months, and we know fucking well that they're going to be holding on to these with dear life. They're probably going to be holding on to Agatha for dear life because she's one of the better characters in the Darkhold team, and so don't think that they're going to do anything here. But they really, really, really need to fucking do something, because this is starting to... It's been pissing me off for a while, but I just decided to do this video to really blow off some steam, because, you know, it's really ridiculous. Deathpool, Kestrel, Emma Frost! 2 fucking years! Okay, I'm going to end things there. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is farmability unacceptable? I'm sure it is. You'll probably tell me that it is. But, I mean, like, what's going on? What do they need to do? What do you think is going to happen, if anything? What is a reasonable amount of time for you all in terms of a character to be made farmable? Is that 4 months? Is that 6 months? Is that 9 months? Let me know, because I'd love to know. Maybe I'm just crazy. So that's the end of Boilon's rant. And until next time, stay safe and healthy. And I'll see y'all later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Boilon signing out.